leadership today in this congressional field hearing. I worked actively to reassemble, not knowing what was on the horizon. And so it is in that role as the Congresswoman for the Massachusetts 7th and as the co-chair of the House Haiti Caucus that we arrive here today. Reviving the Haiti Caucus was a significant priority for me because my district represents the third largest Haitian diaspora in the country. More than 77,000 Haitians call the Commonwealth their home. Our Haitian neighbors are attorneys, nurses, social workers, chefs, artists, teachers, pastors, and elected officials, and so much more. Their contributions are an integral part of our community, culture, and economy. And the island of Haiti, which is only a short distance from Florida, must be recognized as an important ally to the United States' national security interests. On a personal note, I credit the people of Haiti, especially as we are coming off of celebrating independence, for teaching me my earliest lessons in the work of resistance. So today, on the 1-year anniversary, feels much longer. On the 1-year anniversary of this cruel and hostile administration, we are doing the work of resistance. Like we did 1 year ago today, we are here in community, listening to the people closest to the pain. Today's hearing is an opportunity to examine the necessity of extending TPS for Haiti. For those unaware, Temporary Protected Status, or TPS, is an immigration designation in recognition of a country facing conflict, disaster, or extraordinary conditions. TPS has received bipartisan support for over 30 years as a program. With this status, Haitians have been able to live and work in the United States. Whether they came to the U.S. in 2010 after the catastrophic earthquake, or more recently following the assassination of the president and the rise in gang violence, which I must acknowledge the trafficking of guns from the United States contributes to. People of Haiti are our neighbors and have helped build our communities into loving, joyful, and safe places where everyone can thrive. Now, Massachusetts, I do think these numbers are important, has about 45,000 Haitian TPS holders. So it is in the interest of the integrity of this Massachusetts 7th and the Commonwealth and our economy and all that keeps our families and our neighborhoods whole. Everyone who calls the Commonwealth home, who calls the Massachusetts 7th home, who calls the city of Boston home, should be invested in this fight. Lives and livelihoods are at risk. If Donald Trump and his anti-immigrant crusade are successful, more than 350,000 Haitian nationals will lose their legal status on February 3rd. I want everyone to know that this Congresswoman is fighting tooth and nail to stop this from happening. Since being elected to Congress, I've stood shoulder to shoulder with our immigrant neighbors. Together, we have helped immigrate new arrivals to the Commonwealth by making sure kids are enrolled in school, adults can find work, and families are healthy. In Washington, D.C., I've urged Democratic and Republican presidents alike, to support Haiti, in its efforts to build the nation, to support a democratic transition, one that is led by Haitian civil society. And just this month, I voted to pass legislation to strengthen Haiti trade relations and to support its economy. Despite these efforts, we know there is much more work to do, and I'll not stop fighting. And I'm grateful to all those who are in that fight with me, who have been my teachers in this movement. I look forward to hearing from the esteemed panelists on the importance of protecting TPS status and supporting the people of Haiti. I now recognize Senator Markey for opening remarks, who has been a steadfast and consistent partner in the work of protecting Haitians, including putting together today's hearing.
Thank you, Congresswoman Presley. I'm honored to join you here today for this important hearing, to stand with the Haitian community and stand up for Haitian temporary protected status, or TPS. So we thank Congresswoman Presley for her partnership, not only today, but in the years-long fight to advocate for our Haitian and Haitian American communities. And thank you for partnering together just last week to introduce legislation to abolish the immunity that shields ICE officers from liability for murdering an innocent person or trampling over constitutional rights, as they did to Renee Nicole Good. May her family secure justice. And thank you to the TPS holders, advocates, business leaders, and community members joining us as witnesses today for your relentless work, your bravery, and for sharing your stories. And thank you to our audience members for joining us in community today. All of you represent an incredible and resilient force for change and justice in our ongoing fight for a more equitable, compassionate America. Let me just start by noting that these are not normal times. We are living under authoritarianism. We are watching masked ICE agents terrorizing our streets. We are witnessing brutal attacks on Black and brown communities all across the nation, physical, economic, and cultural attacks. We have a wannabe dictator that does not want to make America great again. He wants to make America hate again, and he wants to make America white again. That is his goal. Unfortunately, the Haitian TPS community is not new to this story. For years, Donald Trump has demonized and attacked Haitian TPS holders. Trump has spewed racist and cruel lies about Haitians, lies which are part of a long history of Black racism that is all too familiar. And he has terminated the critical TPS protections that nearly 500,000 Haitians rely upon. The termination of Haiti TPS is cruel, it's callous, and it is calculated. TPS is a life-saving program for helping people, including thousands of Haitian TPS holders in Massachusetts, escape violence and probable death. TPS also stands for taking our promises seriously, treating our people with solidarity. In the wake of Hurricane Matthew in late September 2016, I traveled down to Haiti in the 3 days after that hurricane hit to deliver relief goods and meet with aid providers, to go to Dame Marie, where Brucey Louis-Jean's father lives, to provide those resources down in Dame Marie. And I witnessed firsthand the resiliency of the Haitian people in the face of adversity. At the time, the country was still grappling with the cholera epidemic that was caused by the UN peacekeepers who had been deployed to the country following the devastating 2010 earthquake. There had never been cholera in Haiti until 2010, when the UN came in and brought it with them. The country has been left to address the epidemic with little help from the international community, and I urged the UN to apologize to Haiti which they did at the end of 2016 for everything that they had left as a legacy of chaos in that country. And I came away from that trip knowing that Haiti would continue to hurt, and that the United States should do everything in its power to help the Haitian people. But sadly, Haiti is still hurting. The current security situation is a threat to the unrealized potential of an entire nation. Since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in 2021, an already fragile security situation has since worsened. Armed gangs have taken control of the majority of the capital of Port-au-Prince. Kidnappings and other acts of violence orchestrated by armed groups are obstructing the free movement of people, access to medical and education infrastructure, and bringing the economy to a halt. Earthquakes, hurricanes, floods have battered the country's already precarious infrastructure. So it's clear to all, including the Trump administration, that Haitian TPS holders cannot return home safely. That's what we give that protection for, because they cannot go home. So I have called on every recent American president to designate, extend, and redesignate TPS for Haiti. I have also supported legislation to provide a legal pathway to residency for TPS holders, and I will continue to fight to protect Haiti TPS because lives are at stake. Haitian TPS holders are deeply rooted in our Massachusetts communities, from Mattapan to Brockton to Malden. I live in Malden. I live in Ward 2 in Malden. The Irish, the Italians, they've moved on. My neighbors are now Haitians in Ward 2 in Malden, and they work hard. They work 2 jobs. You can see the Cambridge taxi cab pull in at 2 in the morning, after working the 2nd job, because they are working so hard. So that is our job. Our job today is to put a spotlight on them, to give our witnesses the opportunity to tell their story so that we can highlight them and to protect them. So thank you, Madam Chair, so much for conducting this hearing, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from our witnesses today. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Senator Markey, in your partnership in this convening today. We did invite the entire Massachusetts delegation to join us here today. And so I want to acknowledge and recognize Congressman Seth Moulton, who has accepted that invitation, and he'll be delivering remarks, opening remarks.
Madam Chairwoman, thank you so much for holding this hearing, for bringing transparency to this issue, for your leadership over the years on TPS for Haiti. And it's an honor to be here with you and my colleague, Senator Markey, as well. A couple days after the devastating 2010 earthquake in Haiti, some fellow veterans and I arrived with surgeons from top Boston hospitals to help out. The scene was unforgettable. The bodies of those who didn't get there in time stacked up like cordwood by the door of the makeshift hospital. Children looking desperately for parents, and parents searching desperately for their kids. Physical devastation of cities and towns and of people. I just came to support the surgeons as they worked round the clock, but soon found myself consumed by simply feeding the patients. Everything was gone. Simply finding something to eat was suddenly harder than finding an orthopedist. What I witnessed in Haiti was the best of Boston, the best of Massachusetts, the best of America showing up to help those in need. The scene was both terribly sad and deeply inspiring. In return, Haitians who have come to Massachusetts have brought the best of Haiti to us. Their rich culture enriching our own. Their hard work caring for our elderly, just as we cared for their wounded. Their families and communities strengthening the American quilt as their fabric has become interwoven with our own. Now, Trump aims to tear all that apart out of hate. Racism is the motive, detention is the mechanism, and profit is the reward. The most corrupt administration in American history, and its cronies are profiting off of instilling misery. But in true American fashion, we aim to bring truth to light, and that's why I'm grateful for my colleague Ayanna Pressley's leadership on Haiti TPS, not just here this morning, but over the years, and for holding a hearing opening government when Trump and Noem and Miller shut out the American people so that they can persecute with privilege, the privilege of hate and power unchecked. Madam Chair, thank you for your leadership. It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to be here with this community.
Thank you, Congressman. And before we get into our first panel, certainly as we are navigating the chaos and the dysfunction and the hostilities of Washington, we are so fortunate to have leaders on the municipal and state level standing in the gap. Please never take their leadership for granted. We certainly don't take their partnership for granted. And so I do want to acknowledge them and also the shoulders of which they stand. We have, it's important to note, history makers that are in the room, particularly when people are working actively to erase our contributions in our history. So I do want to acknowledge Marie St. Fleur. I guess she gets to be called, rep in perpetuity, but sometimes I just call the president, governor, mayor, whatever, she walks with that. I'm telling the truth, okay? So thank you for joining us. And Linda Dorsina Forey, thank you, Linda, for being here. Senator and Rep. And again, Ruth C. Louisiane stands on the incredible shoulders of the two of you, the City Councilor. And we're very pleased to be joined by the Chelsea City Council President, Roberto Jimenez. This is a city that has truly been under siege. And so we are so grateful for your compassionate leadership and for your joining us here today. Okay, we will now move to our witness panels. As you all know, I practice the ethos that the people closest to the pain should be the closest to the power, driving and informing the policymaking, which brings us here today. So for our first panel, we will hear directly from Haitian TPS holders and organizations representing them here in Massachusetts. Now, I must concede I erred in my high school tutelage in that I took Latin and not Haitian Creole. And so I ask your indulgence in my pronunciation of names, but I will certainly do my best here. So our first, we were going to hear from Bernice Jean, but it's my understanding that someone else will be here in their stead. Or Gerline Blamour? No? Okay. Well, then we'll start. We'll just start here with Davidson. Okay. Thank you, Davidson. And we'll work our way down here. So for the purposes of those joining us, and certainly for the media, because you are here who people really need to hear from, just your name and however you would like to indicate your affiliation.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is David Sandy Bros. I'm an immigrant in the United States and an earthquake survivor. I came here with my mother and my brother after losing everything. We arrived with no safety net and had to start from scratch. After graduating high school, I wanted to continue my education, but I wasn't eligible for federal student loans because I wasn't a citizen. That barrier had nothing to do with effort and ability. It was simply my status. So I worked and paid out of pocket to earn my associate degree with the help from the Adams Scholarship. Like many immigrants, I took every opportunity available. I've worked in culinary, in hospitality, in healthcare, and later pursued training in biotech. And today, I am pursuing a career in biopharmaceutical, preparing to contribute to science innovations and patient care. Each role required discipline, adaptability, and choice. Together, they reflect the reality of immigrants across this country. We contribute, we work hard, and we help keep essential industries moving. Today, I want to be honest about the stress many immigrants feel. Even when we follow the rules and contribute, uncertainty remains. Policy debates don't stay abstract. They shape how safe we feel, how we plan our future, and whether we truly feel we belong. Behind every immigration discussion is a real person, someone who has survived loss, who built from nothing and still believes in the promise of this country. I'm grateful for the opportunity I've had in the United States, and I hope that as decisions are made, immigrants' voices like mine are heard with fairness, empathy, and humanity. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Davidson. And I do just want to just acknowledge the bravery of every person that's here today, but especially our Haitian TPS holders for, in this forum, we thank you for your courage. We thank you for your transparency. We thank you for your testimony. Just in the interest of time, because I don't want to have to keep introducing each person, I'll just say everyone's name and then you'll hear from them in order, okay? So now we're going to hear from Jerome, who is a TPS holder and former Logan Airport worker with SEIU 32. All right, I'm just seeing if you're awake. And Jerome's testimony will be given by Franklin. So again, the next voice you will hear will be Jerome. Following Jerome, we will hear from Bruno, who is a TPS holder and bus driver. Following Jerome and Bruno, we will hear from Reverend Dr. Eno Mondesir on behalf of a Haitian TPS holder. Following the Reverend Dr. Eno Mondesir, we will hear from the Reverend Merlande Desroches on behalf of a Haiti TPS holder. Okay, so in that order, Jerome, we look forward to your testimony.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Again, my name is Franklin Soltz. I'm with 32 BJ SEIU, and I'm proud to read the testimony of Jerome. Good morning, and thank you to Congresswoman Presley, to Senator Markey, to Congressman Moulton, and to my former union, 32 BJ, and all those supporting workers from Haiti with temporary protected status, like me. Last summer, I lost my job at Logan Airport because the process of getting an airport badge takes a long time, so our employers began to make changes long before. Until last summer, maybe 100 or more Haitians with TPS worked at Logan. Now, I believe most, if not all, have lost their jobs. For 2 years, I worked at a warehouse in Logan where I moved supplies to the airplanes and brought back dirty material. I had to work quickly, moving from one flight to another in the rain, cold, and heat. When you are a parent, you have a responsibility that you must take seriously. It is the most important thing in life for me. When I have work, it doesn't matter if I'm tired or not. I don't ask how long my job is going to take. It's a terrible shame for anyone when they cannot work and feed their family. Since losing my job, I've not been able to find regular full-time work. Recently, I thought I had found one driving a vehicle, but I lost it after 2 weeks because it required keeping the vehicle in a private driveway, which I do not have. I work as many hours as I can driving Uber, but the car is old and it requires a lot of maintenance, which I have to pay for. I live with my wife and our 10-year-old daughter in an apartment on the North Shore. To save on rent, we now share it with a roommate who has his own space, while my family and I share one bedroom. My wife also has TPS. She is a caretaker who expects to lose her job on February 3rd. Our daughter, a U.S. citizen, is in the 6th grade. She is keeping up with her schoolwork, but I know my daughter. I can see the stress of thinking all the time, what will my life be like if my parents can't be with me? In Haiti, my wife and I had our own small businesses. We each had a few employees, but gangs demanded money and they knew I would not pay. The gangs are still there waiting. I do not know what we will do if we lose our status on February 3rd. I only know that life will continue, for better or worse. Thank you for hearing my story and for fighting to make the future better for all of us.
Good morning. My name is Bruno. I have been a recipient of TPS, Temporary Protect Status, TPS, since 2010. I'm married and together with my wife, we are raising 3 sons here in the United States. Our oldest son has graduated from college, and our son is second and third years of college, and our youngest son is currently in high school. Our third son is a U.S. citizen, having grown up entirely in this country. I am a professional bus driver, and my wife work in healthcare. We are both hard worker individuals who contribute daily to our community and to this nation. Since arriving in the United States after the devastating earthquake in Haiti, my wife has been terrified by work, faith, and family. I have grown nothing but honest labor, active participation in my church, and a deep commitment to provide for my wife and children. We are a respectful, law-abiding family who value the opportunities this country has given us. Before coming to the United States, I was a business owner in Haiti. I'm on and operate a grocery store that support my family and serve my community. Tragically, the 2010 earthquake destroyed everything and had built. My business was wiped out, my livelihood vanished, and my country was left in ruins. We are profoundly grateful to the United States for welcoming us during that time of crisis. This country gave us safety, stability, and a future. When we had none, my children have grown up, been educated here, and become part of the fabric of this society. This is their home. Today, we have nothing to return to in Haiti. The Port-au-Prince area where we once lived is now largely controlled by violent gangs. It is unsafe, unstable, and unlivable if TPS is not extended. My family and I have now here to go. Return to Haiti will mean return to danger, uncertainty, and devastation. Our life, our family root here in the United States, we have a mortgage to pay, car loan on my ability to continue working legally. My employer has already asked me to bring a new work permit before February 3rd. Has left me devastated, anxious, and deprived, worried about the future of my family. I love this country with open its door to me when I have lost everything. I had worked hard, raised my children with strong value, and contribute positively to society. I respectfully ask that my situation and those of naming my family like mine be taken seriously, and then TPS will not only affect me, it will tear apart a family that has built in life, dream, and future here in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. And again, we're here to actively listen and to learn. What you're sharing is so essential in this fight with this deadline quickly approaching. I do want to draw to everyone's attention. There is a timer here. We're going to do our best to honor it. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. Okay. All right. Don't worry. I won't be too heavy-handed. Me of all people. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Well, first, let me say thank you to Senator Markey for being here, Congresswoman Presley, whom I share my birthday with, which is basically February 3rd, that day that TPS is due to be eliminated, and Senator Congressman Moulton. I'm going to be using two of my hats to make a pitch, and that will refer to one of the pastors that I have at the Haitian Baptist Church with me. That arrived to the U.S. about 2 years ago with TPS. But back home, she was not only a minister, she went to seminary. She was also, she studied law and was practicing law in Haiti. But when the situation started getting out of hand, she had no choice but to flee with her relatives. And so since she arrived here, I became acquainted with her. And so she became one of the pastors that helped me in the church. And as I have assigned them the task on a particular Sunday, I am reminded that somewhere around October and November, she was due to speak or to bring the sermon that Sunday, and our church works in the afternoon. So at 6 a.m., I look at my phone and I had a text. And the text came from her to inform me that she is very apprehensive and anxious and fearful because the rumors are that ICE may infest the community, and being afraid to come out, she texted me to say, I don't feel safe to come out. And so therefore I understood, I prayed with her, and I did what I needed to do as a pastor. But that did not stop her. Subsequent Sundays, she made it to the church. And in fact, this past Sunday, she also delivered the sermon for us. I say this to say that TPS elimination has brought trouble to the community. And if I put my second hat on top of the first one, the clergy, I'll add on it. Being a public health official for one of the 14 largest municipalities in the state of Massachusetts, I understand full well the impact of the social determinants of health. So when someone tells you that he or she is afraid, there is a stressor somewhere in the life of that individual. If that stressor is not dealt with in a timely fashion and effectively, that person will experience what Hans Selye, one of the researchers, that person will have stress, and there are three stages: the alarming stage, the resistance, and the exhaustion. And when people hit the second and the third stages of stress, you are looking at an individual who may end up being emotionally destabilized, mentally, psychologically, and soon you will find that this person may be impacted physically and end up in a hospital. And so, therefore, the decision of President Trump to not to renew TPS is a horrific blow to the community, to the Haitian community, to Haitians, to Haitian Americans. And so, therefore, I am here to emphasize the need to gather together so that we can push that message. For those of you who are of faith in this room here, I'm glad that you're here, but there are many others who should be here who are not here. But I'll make this speech. James chapter 2, verse 17 says, faith without action is dead. And so I don't want to be among the dead who claim to have faith, but I'm here to stand with my faith. Thank you.
Well, given those who weaponize their faith, very much appreciate that. And now we'll hear from another incredible faith leader. Thank you, Reverend.
Good morning, and thank you to our Massachusetts delegation for bringing us here today and organizing this hearing. In Matthew 25:35, Jesus said, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in." It's in this context that I am here today. I accepted this invitation to be part of those who invite in the stranger. And I'm glad to see my mentor here in this room today, former Rep. Suffler. Thank you for being here and continuing the fight with us. And so I'm here today to echo the voices of both the hundreds of American senior citizens in the city of Everett and the greater Boston of all races who are receiving much needed home health aid assistance from TPS holders. They are hardworking, dedicated workers, taxpayers who graduated from the Everett Haitian Community Center's ESOL and Workforce Training Program, a community center that I serve as director to. And I also am here to be the voices of the voiceless of approximately 1,842 Haitian babies, children, youth, senior citizens, adults, and families that the suspension of TPS sets for February 3rd, 2026 is already impacting and will impact negatively. The termination of TPS evidently tells us that we are, as we say in Haitian Creole, on impasse. It simply means that there's no way out, because compiled with the other policies of the administration on immigration, it appears that every single option that people could have is blocked. There's no way out, no compassion. And unless we come up and we yield to you for the hard work that you are doing and will continue to do, to really come up with an oriented, economically, policy that makes sense towards the path of a green card and citizenship. And so clearly we said it creates a domino effect, this pending decision, because it's not just, as I said before, an impact on those who hold TPS, but also of Americans that those TPS holders serve, especially in the healthcare system. The CPS holders and other immigrants make up approximately 21% of nurse aides and 30% of cleaning and maintenance staff in these facilities. This contribution is crucial as many nursing homes rely heavily on foreign-born workers to maintain operations and provide quality care in the city of Everett that I serve and the greater Boston. And so as I would like to close today and say, this is not something recent or new. I do recall 8 years ago being invited on a panel at Emerson College. As a matter of fact, a former Senator Forey and some journalists were on that panel in 2018 under this administration, talking about that same thing, the same fear and the same impact of TPS. It's a perpetual persecution, and we count on you, and we ask that the persecution stops. Thank you.
Thank you all. That brings our first panel to a close. Myself and my colleagues will each be allocated one question, and then we are going to move on. So many of my questions have already been answered by your comprehensive and thorough testimony here, but I wonder if any of you could just speak further to what do you think people don't understand about the TPS process, and what that experience is like. If any of you would like to speak to that, because I think many just don't understand what it is like to be in a state of limbo and how that impacts your life while you're actively making contributions to our country.
Yes, I can speak to that, if I may. Yes, I'll say three things on three levels. I think two I've mentioned earlier, and sometimes people don't think that. When we think of TPS holders, we just think of the Haitians, but we don't pay attention of the hundreds and hundreds of Americans that TPS holders are providing services to, who will be impacted, especially our senior citizens in home health aid, in senior care homes, etc. Number two, we don't pay attention to TPS holders. We have youth who came after the earthquake or while during the earthquake who were probably 10 years old now or 20 years old and so forth. And we have part of those youth who are excelling in sports, playing in sports, in professional sports. We have them in Everett. And so they contribute to the economy of this country. So this is impacting the United States economy. And now, of course, now let's talk about the TPS holders themselves. Another part that people are not talking about. Some, for the past 15 years, working hard, paying taxes, have made not only this a home, but have purchased homes in this country and have settled. Our youth in colleges, our youth who are now lawyers, engineers, etc. They have been embedded in the faith, in the culture of this country. So it seems to me the same thing. And I would say also this is a country that believes in Christian values, just like the Jews who are exiled in Babylon, the best of the very best. Before even the King Ahasuerus decided to turn them back to their land, he made sure that the security of their land was secure. He made sure that they could rebuild the temple, that they had enough money, that they had what they needed. So at this point right now, what people don't know, that partly our adopted country, the United States, has been keeping our land, the Haitian land in Haiti, in security. And you are deciding to send them back in a place that you have held, in essence, in total disaster.
Teach the people. Okay. Thank you for that truth-telling moment. That historic contextualizing is so essential, and that real-life impact. Thank you so much. And so now we'll hear from Senator Markey for one question, and then Congressman Moulton, and then we will transition to our next panel. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, and thank you Franklin and Bruno Davidson for being here. Thank you for telling your personal stories, because you are the workers. You are the people out there. You're the home health care workers. You're the restaurant workers. You're the people who actually make our society work. And we thank you for that. And our workers are the tapestry of our country. And that's what you are a part of. And it's why Florida Congresswoman Sheila Shafillis McCormick and Congresswoman Presley and I led 89 of our colleagues in submitting legal arguments in the Haiti TPS case in the Federal District Court in Washington, D.C. We asked the court to pause the termination of Haiti TPS and highlighted the immeasurable contributions of the Haiti TPS community, because it would be an abdication of American responsibility to all of you and the tens of thousands of others who are going to who will be forced to go home and face harm. So maybe you could each tell us a little bit about your story and how you're being harmed and how your family is being harmed by this Trump administration policy with regard to TPS. Love to hear your family story.
I've been doing advocacy for TPS holders since the program was established, I believe. I just think it's, Congresswoman Presley had asked what people don't understand. It's that there is no path for them to normalize their status, to turn it into something permanent, and they've been advocating for it. I've traveled to Washington with TPS holders for years and years to try to make changes, and it's just been impossible. And their tireless efforts to do the right thing and live right and not hide has been really admirable.
Yes, I've been here from 2010, but I got TPS. I started working from 2011. I think I have 16 years work on the country. I started work from the school bus driver. I passed 10 years driving school bus. Now I drive for MBTA. But I got my CDL from 2013. I think now the administration denied me. I think the administration passed the law to everybody. We don't have citizen or green card. We put you down, you don't have, you downgrade your CDL. But this is the bad problem for me, because I'm already have mortgage to pay, and then car loan, And February 3rd, I don't have job anymore. But I think I work hard. I'm going to school to get my CDL. But for nothing, this guy put everybody down. But I don't know how the Congress try to do if I get back my CDL.
Since I moved here with my mother and my brother in the United States, we started everything from scratch, and it's been very, very tough for us because we're all we had at the time. And from where we came from and to where we are right now, I can say that, it's a blessing. And also, it's very, very stressful right now for us because, we have a mortgage that needs to be paid. We don't know what's going to happen after. And, we don't know what's going to happen with the employment. And even though I went to school for business, I went to school for culinary, and now I'm pursuing my biopharmaceutical at MCPHS, and I'm not sure how it's gonna end. And as of today, I'm trying my best not to think about it and just focus on school as much as I can, and until maybe a final decision is made.
Thank you all. And as we transition to Congressman Moulton, I thank you, Senator, for your question, because it's important that people understand we're talking about individuals that are a part of families, that are a part of whole communities. And so there is a residual impact. And the Reverend Dr. Mondesir, I thank you for speaking to the psychological toll and impact of this, because the trauma of all of this is often lost. I do want to acknowledge that we've been joined by two more colleagues on the state level. State Representative Brandy Fluker Oakley, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, I'm sorry. Reed. All right. Yes, praise God for marriage and unions. Okay. She said, get the name right, Congresswoman. Okay. And State Senator Nick Collins, thank you for joining us. And now, Congressman Moulton, for your question before we transition to the next panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Reverend, you cited Matthews, and it reminded me of Hebrews 13. Be not forgetful to love strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. And so many of those angels are now part of our communities. The athletes in Everett, the workers at senior care facilities throughout Massachusetts, the families, whether living in a single bedroom or apartments, homes, everywhere, in our schools. 15,000 TPS holders in Massachusetts. That's just a little smaller than the hometown I grew up in. So it would be devastating to Massachusetts to take them all away, to take those angels away from what has become their home. But I wonder if you could also shed some light on just what it would be like to go to Haiti today. 90% of Port-au-Prince is controlled by criminal gangs. The only real check on those criminal gangs is Trump's friend Eric Prince and his profit-making military operation. That's the devastation you're talking about. So I'm sure that you were in touch with relatives, friends, families who are still in Haiti today. Could you shed some light on what those conditions are like and what it would be like for these Massachusetts families to have to go to that environment?
Thank you so much for this question. And I would like to make it so that I'm not a resounding gong, just make it simple. I'm not even going to mention in terms of our own assessment as advocates, not making assessment as even those who have families there, not even making an assessment of, what from our own words and our journalists, etc. Why don't we make it the same assessment that our government in the United States have made? That's why they put Haiti in the list of 75 other countries, because they feel they stated, this administration stated that it's not a safe country, it's a shithole. That's what they said. And they said that because of the gangs, because of what's happening now, because of the insecurity and so many things that's happening. So that same administration's assessment of the condition of Haiti right now is the proof, an additional proof that it is inhuman, that it is evil to deport, to send so many people all at once, leaving a livelihood that they have here back to Haiti at this point.
Let me add a few things on what Reverend Darosier has mentioned. The gangs, I don't understand how they operate, but they have a mindset of whomever put them on the street. Because number one, if you look at many of those gangs, you look at their feet and what they wear, you realize that the weapon that they carry, they don't have money to buy that. So the supplier is somewhere in the universe. Secondly, they destroy many hospitals, health centers, so that people cannot freely go to find care that they need. We have many Haitians also, people in Haiti who are on dialysis for kidney failures, who have diabetes, who have many other chronic diseases. Sometimes they have to flee in other parts of Haiti. But guess what? We have a joke among Haitians. We say, we refer to Port-au-Prince as the Republic of Port-au-Prince. So everything rotates around Port-au-Prince, so that any other parts of Haiti is impacted when Port-au-Prince is impacted. And so therefore, I myself have a program in part of the country. We have difficulty bringing medicines to that part of Haiti because there is no road to travel. The last time the team is here in Massachusetts. We have a 501c3. The last time we traveled to Haiti was 2019. We had a trip scheduled for March 14, 2020. We canceled it because of COVID, the pandemic. And ever since, we have not been able to go back, not because of COVID, because pandemic is over. But there is another pandemic that is ravaging the country, and that's the gangs.
And just also to say this, in this great land of the United States, the most powerful country, the richest country in the world, if not one. I don't know about you, but I see the receipts of those people that we help with food insecurity. Very expensive, even for those of us who are middle class. You can imagine, it's worse in Haiti. It's worse in Haiti. So even forgetting all the others, even the gangs and the insecurities, we are a country the United States. We can do better than that. We are better than that.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so, and we do have two more panels to get to. So we're going to have to pick up the pace a little bit, but I thank you all for setting the tone. I thank you for your courage. I thank you for your truth telling. I thank you for your fight every day. And I did say earlier, and I do think it's worth repeating, that this has been a fight no matter who is in the Oval Office, no matter what party. I just want to say that. So when we talk about a perpetrated persecution, I think those were the words that you used, Reverend, we have failed the people of Haiti over and over and over again. Okay, so we just in that truth telling, you know, we can't. We just have to acknowledge the colonialism and U.S. foreign policy and the guns being trafficked from the U.S. And this is what is this? 5, 7? How many miles is Florida from Haiti? I mean, so from our, it's in our interest. 600 miles. So this is in our national security interest. It is in our economic interest. But you're all here because you already know that. So we are preaching to the choir, but we're going to ask the choir when you leave here to sing and make sure that you enlist others in this movement. Okay, we'll now transition to the next panel. Thank you, everyone. All right, so in the interest of time, we will forego the reading of biographies. Just know that these are some very impressive, good people. And again, I thank you all for joining us today. Okay. It's fine then. Everyone take your position. There is a timer here. We will try to treat it as more than a mere suggestion. And I'm saying that to myself as well. And the order with which we will hear from our esteemed panel, we'll first hear from Doris Reyna. We'll then hear from Elizabeth Sweet. Okay, so everyone pay attention to your order here. Okay, so Doris, Elizabeth, Brian, Dr. Sherman, Vlandy, and Denise. And again, before you speak, if you would just like to quickly say your affiliation and title since everyone can't see it. And again, thank you for joining us. So first we'll hear from Doris, Salvadorian TPS holder. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Doris Landaverde. I'm TPS holder from El Salvador, and I am a mother. I have lived in the United States for more than 25 years, a country I proud call home. I'm the coordinator of the National TPS Alliance and the Mass TPS Committee here in Massachusetts. For more than 8 years, we are working tirelessly to keep families together and save TPS. The National TPS Alliance, we was founded in 2017 during the first Trump administration, when TPS termination began, not just from El Salvador, but countries like Haiti. In response to that threat, the TPS community organized a national way with the support of Carecen LA and Dillon, with two clear goals: defend TPS and fighting for a pathway to permanent residency. The National TPS Alliance lead the historic case Ramos versus Nielsen, which protect hundreds of thousands of TPS families during the administration. Today, the National TPS Alliance continue organize and mobilize the community nationwide We have committees across the country and 380,000 members. We are currently leading two critical federal lawsuits defend TPS, one to protect Venezuela and Haiti, and another to defend TPS Honduras, Nicaragua, and Nepal, just we did in the past. We are active and essential contribute to the U.S. economy. We are employed a high rate and fill critical jobs, healthcare, construction, hospital, and education, sectors that often face labor shortage. In 2001, TPS holders paid nearly $1.3 million in federal tax and almost $1 million in state local taxes, and their combined purchase power reaches $8 billion supported local business and services. At this moment, the current U.S. administration has taken a preliminary approach to terminate TPS. More than 1 million TPS holders have already lost a stand or lost their legal and work authorization during the termination of TPS designation. A move that will treat protection from many long-term contributes to our community. We have already seen termination of protection of Venezuela, Haiti, Honduras, Nicaragua, Nepal, Sudan, and Cameroon, and others, despite legal challenges asserting that many of those terminations are awful. This is the moment of the Congress and Senate to act and protect TPS families. The human consequences already devastate our community. We are having seen deportation of Venezuela community members and heartbreaking deaths ties to the lost TPS. A Honduran TPS man died in the immigration detention last January 4. And here in Massachusetts, a woman died after lost her TPS protection and could not continue her cancer treatment because she lost her health care protection during the TPS cancellation. With the termination of the protection for the Haitian community set up of February 3rd, 2026, we are warning everyone of a humanitarian and economic crisis will create. More than 1 million people will be left unprotected, impact not only TPS families, but also establish of the economy in this country. Our lives are not temporary. We are parents, workers, and caregivers who have built our life here in decades. Every delay, every termination costs real life. Congress must act now, not next year, not after other crises. Protect our families, provide a permanent solution. We urge you to act now. Our families can't wait any longer. No allow more lives to get lost and more families to be destroyed. Thank you so much.
Good morning, and thank you very much to Representative Presley, Senator Markey, and Representative Moulton for gathering us together in attention on this really critical issue for Massachusetts today. My name is Elizabeth Sweet. I'm the Executive Director of the MIRA Coalition. The Massachusetts Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Coalition, or MIRA, is a membership organization that counts more than 150 organizations that organize and serve immigrant communities here in Massachusetts. And for our entire membership, we are facing truly a crisis moment as we face the likely and arbitrary ending of temporary protected status for Haitians. I want to begin by just acknowledging that this has significant implications for all of us here in Massachusetts. We have welcomed thousands of Haitian immigrants to Massachusetts over decades now. individuals and families who have now built their lives here, attending our schools, working as nurses, home aides, and doctors, and in so many other key sectors in our economy, opening businesses, and just participating widely in our communities. This arbitrary ending of temporary protected status is going to destabilize so many members of the Haitian community, but also all of us, as our lives are all intertwined now with our neighbors and community members. I want to specifically take my time to speak to some of the legal issues, and to give a little bit of context, in late 2024, my organization, the MIRA Coalition, worked with a huge coalition of nonprofit organizations, of volunteer attorneys, of legal service agencies, of Massachusetts state partners, and so many other organizations and individuals to help as many Haitians as possible apply for and secure temporary protected status. Why did we do that? Because we believe absolutely, first, that as others have said, the kind of conditions in Haiti are such that are the kind of situation that TPS was made for. But more because we recognize that our new neighbors are here to contribute. They're here to contribute. They want to work. Haitians are incredibly hardworking folks who want to be a part of our workforce. And by securing TPS status, individuals secured a work permit that allowed them then to get jobs and become a part of the many parts of our workforce that others have also mentioned, where Haitians are contributing so much. Now, of course, we face a situation where tens of thousands of Haitian TPS holders have been scrambling to identify whether they have other legal options available to them. And it's truly greatly overburdening the legal service agencies who simply don't have the capacity. The capacity that was required, which was truly an extraordinary effort to help so many Haitian individuals achieve TPS, is a small fraction of the kind of effort that is needed for individuals to achieve asylum status. Very briefly, I want to lift up the issue that for even those individuals who are eligible for asylum, if they file an asylum application before the end of their TPS status, they will face a period without a work permit. And that is even for individuals who are fully eligible. That kind of gap in status truly benefits no one. It means that individuals will be forced to stop working and instead depend on help from overburdened community organizations and sometimes the state. So for all these and so many other reasons, we want to join with the voices to call on Congress to act to address this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Brian?
Bonjour tout le monde. I'm grateful to Representative Presley and Senator Markey for inviting me to this briefing to talk about country conditions in Haiti. My name is Brian Concannon. I'm the Executive Director of the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti. And I'd also like to thank Representative Presley and Senator Markey for their years of leadership on supporting the rights of Haitians both in Haiti and in the United States. And when Senator Markey was talking about his visit to Haiti 10 years ago, it reminded me that part of what he did was bring back information that was used to prove the need for an extension of TPS at that time. And what we're seeing now, it was justified in 2016. What we're seeing now was unimaginable to any of us in 2016. And so, of course, it's hundreds of times more justified. I'm grateful to be invited to this discussion, but I'm also dismayed. I'm dismayed that you even need to have someone coming up here to explain that country conditions in Haiti are not safe for people to return to. We all know that it is not safe for Haitians to return to Haiti. Many of us are hearing from our family, from our friends, and from our colleagues in Haiti of the kind of stresses they're under that truly, to me, is unimaginable. I just can't understand how anybody can function under that. And I can't understand how anybody could send people to be faced with those conditions. Gangs control 90% of Port-au-Prince and large areas elsewhere. The country has the highest murder rate in the world and increasing malnutrition that's only seen in sub-Saharan Africa. Last March, Senator Markey, Representative Presley, and Representative Moulton, they wrote to Secretary Noem of the Department of Homeland Security to explain how bad the conditions were. And as they said, quote, the overwhelming evidence is that Haiti remains an unsafe place for anyone to return to. The U.S. FAA agrees. There are no U.S. planes can travel to the Port-au-Prince airport. The Department of State website, if you look at it right now, there's a travel warning that says, do not travel to Haiti due to kidnapping, crime, terrorist activity, civil unrest, and limited health care. There's more, but it concludes, do not travel to Haiti for any reason. The Department of Homeland Security itself, in a Federal Register notice that was posted on November 28, 2025, acknowledged that 1.3 million people, 12% of Haiti's population, are internally displaced by gang violence. The DHS also noted that U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, stated that, quote, we have gangs that are terrorizing communities, extorting families, recruiting children to commit horrors on behalf of the gang leaders. The spillover effects of this violence threaten not only Haiti, but the stability of the wider Caribbean and the Western Hemisphere. Despite this, in the very same November 28 Federal Register, DHS claimed that, quote, there are no extraordinary and temporary conditions in Haiti that prevent Haitians from returning in safety. And they announced the termination of TPS again. To illustrate how the conditions do in fact prevent Haitians from returning in safety, it is worth thinking about how many TPS recipients would be harmed if they were returned to Haiti, as DHS has ordered all 350,000 to do, and they face the average risk that people in Haiti are facing today. And there's certainly reason to believe that you sending people back with no jobs and no homes, they're going to face more than the average risk. But if they face the average risk, Haiti's approximately 9,000 homicides in 2025 would equal 263 deaths among the returned TPS holders. The 12% of Haitians currently displaced by gang violence would equal 42,000 TPS holders. The 5.7 million Haitians facing acute food insecurity would equal 166,000 among the returned TPS holders. I'll finish with one final way of contextualizing the statistics of country conditions in Haiti. If you take it's now up to 1.4 million displaced, and if you took that as part of Massachusetts, that would include every resident of the city of Boston, plus every resident in Worcester, plus Springfield, plus Cambridge, Lowell, Brockton, and New Bedford. Thank you.
Before we transition, I did want to acknowledge another colleague on the municipal level, the Massachusetts 7th, Councilor Hines from Chelsea, has joined us, and we thank you for your engagement today. Okay. And now we'll hear from Dr. Sherman.
Morning. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Presley, Senator Markey, and Congressman Moulton for inviting me to be here today for this very important hearing. My name is Alyssa Sherman. I'm president of Leading Age Massachusetts, a statewide association of not-for-profit providers of housing, healthcare, and services for older adults, including nursing homes, assisted living, senior housing, and other community-based service providers. Our member organizations support more than 30,000 older adults in the Commonwealth each day. They're governed by volunteer boards. Many of our members have been serving their communities for well over 100 years. So I'm here today to speak about the critical role immigrants and Haitians in particular play in the aging services workforce in Massachusetts. We've heard a bit already. And our deep concern about the consequences recent changes in immigration policy, including termination of TPS, will have on access to care for some of our most vulnerable residents. America is in the midst of a demographic crisis. Our older adult population is growing rapidly. Here in Massachusetts, individuals aged 65 and older make up 17% of the population. The population aged 75 and older is expected to double by 2040. And a growing number live with multiple chronic health conditions and require hands-on assistance with daily living. At the same time, the pool of available workers is shrinking. Providers of aging services already face severe workforce shortages as demand for care continues to rise. This widening gap between the need for services and available workers is already limiting access to essential care. One example, many hospitals report being unable to discharge patients to skilled nursing facilities or back home with home care due to staffing shortages. In Massachusetts, immigrants comprise nearly 40% of direct care workers, including home health aides and certified nursing assistants. These workers are the backbone of our aging services system, providing skilled, compassionate, and essential care. Given these realities, immigration policy should be viewed as a critical component of a workforce strategy designed to address labor shortages. Federal policy should prioritize stability for legally authorized workers and create expanded opportunities for lawful entry into essential roles. Aging service providers are not looking to replace U.S.-born workers. They're trying to fill persistent gaps so they can continue to meet growing care needs. As we've heard, more than 300,000 Haitian TPS holders are at risk of losing their legal status and ability to work as of February 3rd. Haitian immigrants make up a significant portion of the healthcare workforce in the Boston area and are critical to staffing nursing homes, assisted living, home health agencies, and other aging services organizations. Some of our member communities anticipate losing up to 10% and even more of their workforce if TPS expires, an impact that would be immediate and far-reaching. These are valued, dedicated employees and community members. Many worked heroically throughout the COVID pandemic, showing up day after day when others left the field, and served as a lifeline for residents when families could not be present. Ending TPS would further erode the long-term care workforce at a moment when demand for services is growing and staffing capacity is already stretched thin, placing older adults and their families at unnecessary risk of losing access to critical care.
Thank you. All right. And then now we'll hear from, is Blandy here? Oh, no, Denise. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Congresswoman Presley, Congressman Moulton, and Senator Markey. My name is Denise Williams. I am a domestic violence advocate for AFAB, the organization, the Association of Haitian Women in Boston. We are a small nonprofit that has been in existence since 1988. A large portion of our clients are undocumented, especially the newly arrived immigrants. Most of our work is domestic violence advocacy, prevention, and awareness. We strive to turn domestic violence victims into survivors of domestic violence. A lot of our clients are in shelters. Many are students in our free ESL program. Others are in abusive relationships, and we are actively engaged to find legal help, justice, and resources for them. Many of our clients are TPS holders who are extremely worried about their livelihood. Their levels of anxiety are through the roof. And as was stated by many on this panel and the previous panel, they came here and contributed. They continue to contribute. As was said, they wasted no time. Many took CNA, home health aid courses. They're in our financial literacy programs. You can see them in downtown at JVS taking classes. They don't waste time, as this administration would like you to think that they just come here and are eating up all our resources. This is a falsehood. They come here with the intention of working and contributing. So our clients are trying to do all the right things, but are met with obstacles at every turn. I have one client in particular that I remember recently. I called to check up on her, a domestic violence survivor. I called to check up on her, and she tells me that the abuser, who had a GPS monitor placed on his ankle, restraining order rescinded, he left her alone for about 3 months, but he started contacting her again. This is what she tells me. And she's afraid, but she's even more afraid of going to court. When I told her, let's go to court and get that restraining order put back in place, she says, no, I'm not going. I heard ICE is in the courtrooms. I'm not going. She's not the only client that tells me that. So they're having to resort, some are having to resort to different methods in order to provide for their families, such as working under the table and facing abuse at the hands of these employers. In their desperation, some resort to transactional sex to make ends meet. Many are taken advantage of by scammers. And I predict, this is my own prediction, I predict that later on when the numbers are calculated, we're going to see a correlation between this termination of TPS and, deportations and other draconian policies by this administration. We're going to see a correlation between that and occurrences in domestic violence and even domestic violence deaths. Let's not forget 3 women were killed in 2025, 2 at the beginning of 2025, 1 over the summer. So, and correlation is not causation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's causation. I'm saying that we're going to see a relationship when the numbers are tallied up. Maybe DPH will have that research. I don't know, but this is what is happening, because the reason why I say this is because a lot of these survivors, victims, are having to stay with the abusers because they don't have the money. They cannot work. Their work permits have been expired. TPS is not getting renewed. They're scared for their lives, so they're relying on the abuser to provide for them. They're staying in those relationships. So this is what we're going to see. Lastly, I know my time is up. I'd like to say, if there's a list of people in the world that deserves temporary protected status until stability is reestablished in their country, Haitians should be at the top of that list. In light of what Haiti has done, this is in light of what Haiti has done for the world historically.
That's right.
The fact that this is up for debate right now is sacrilegious. It's a grave political injustice, which will have serious ramifications down the line. Call it karmic reckoning or their own consciousness. But when history is rewritten and finally written from the perspective of the downtrodden, many will have to answer to a higher power for their treatment of Haitians. Thank you.
Well, we're in a church, and so you're having church. We thank all of you for your expert testimony. I do want to say specifically to the letter that we all were signatories on, and Secretary Noem saying that there were no extraordinary conditions. She is as incompetent as she is cruel and clueless. She is dangerous, and she needs to resign or be impeached. They push so much harmful propaganda. Haitians are not eating cats. They are not lazy. This is anti-Black, xenophobic rhetoric that is putting people's lives in danger. And I do want to say with our panel, and the third one will be hearing from the business community, that as much as I want us to give honor and praise and recognition to the labor of Haitians, your lives matter because they matter, period. So we are grateful for your labor, but we give a damn about your lives. And you are deserving. What the hell is temporary about people who've been here 15, 20 years, contributing to our community, our culture, and our economy and our tax base? But I digress. I actually I'll cede my time. Brian, what I wanted from you, I won't ask a question because I want my colleagues to be able to get something in. But Brian, what I wanted to ask of you is that final line in your testimony, because I want to speak to scale of impact. When you were saying it was the equivalent of, could you just speak to that? The Worcester Springfield. Okay, that sentence, could you just, okay, just do the last. Can you just read it, that last? Yeah. I think it's an important point. Because I don't think people have a sense of scale, really, when we are throwing those numbers out. Did you find it? Okay. So devastating families and the economies, of all of those cities. Okay. So now Senator Markey for a question.
Thank you so much. And thank you to each of the panelists. Very, 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 very moving. So here's where we are, and thank you all for your testimony. TPS is about to expire for Haitians. We don't actually remember our own history, Doris, huh? In terms of why are they coming here from Honduras, from El Salvador, from Guatemala? We don't know our own history about U.S. military occupation of these countries, deposing of democracies in those countries for the United Fruit Company. Then you wait about 50 years and all of a sudden there's a big mess. And they want to come to the country that actually generated the problems in their own land. We don't even remember our own. We have to own our own history. And in Haiti, thank you for those great numbers that you gave us, Brian. When TPS expires, we're going to have more ICE agents now tracking down those Haitians. They're going to be tracking them down. And as we know, Donald Trump cares more about the ICE on top of Greenland than he does about the ICE agents who are terrorizing the cities of our country. And they will have hundreds of thousands of additional people who they will be tracking down once they lose their TPS coverage. That's what this is all about. ICE has become the very criminals that they were supposed to be arresting. We see that in Minneapolis. We see that with the murder of Renee Good. So we're going to see terrible things that begin to be unleashed. So going back over to you, Brian, the State Department in November said to Americans, it's too dangerous for any American to go to Haiti. And then they say simultaneously, but all you Haitians, you go home. Good luck. You've been here for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. You're contributing to our communities, but go home. So again, Brian, lay out, what are the conditions that these Haitians will be asked to deal with when they get off the plane and land once again in Port-au-Prince? What are they going to be confronted with?
They've kept getting worse since the U.S. announced the termination of TPS at the end of November. The displacement went up from 1.3 to 1.4. That might be a small number in terms of the difference, but that's the population of Brockton or New Bedford. There'll be another report coming out in the next couple of weeks from the UN. Most people expect it will keep going up inexorably. One measure of kind of how bad things are in Haiti has always been the general hospital. In March of 2004, the General Hospital was overrun by gangs, by far the biggest medical facility in the country. And right now, over 60% of inpatient medical facilities are closed. It's a higher, in the whole country, it's a higher percentage of that in the Port-au-Prince area. But the General Hospital was a very important symbol of government control. And so the government made several efforts to try to take it back to show that they could provide this basic public service despite the gangs. This week, they're giving up. They're trying to move the hospital to somewhere else where they think they might be able to control because they can't do it. Doctors Without Borders that works in war zones all over the world in some of the most difficult conditions. In October, they closed down their big medical center in Tirjo because they were getting shot at by gangs and by police. They just, last week, they closed down their facility in Bel Air, which is one of Port-au-Prince's most populous neighborhoods. Things are going to get worse in 2 weeks. February 3rd is obviously a big deal for TPS holders. February 7th may be a bigger deal in Haiti. The current interim government, their mandate expires on February 7th, and they were supposed to have handed over supposed to have held elections. There are no elections in sight. They're scheduled for August, which no one thinks will happen, but you're going to have a government in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, that's not going to have any legitimacy, which is undoubtedly going to lead to even more unrest.
And again, Brian, so we can own our own history. Where do these guns come from on the streets of Haiti? Can you go through that?
Well, so the guns almost all come from the U.S., especially Florida. The government that has not allowed, the current government that has not been able to hold elections, they were put in place by the United States. And if you go back since 2012, the political party that really ran Haiti into the ground, so much so that the head of the party, Michel Martelly, has been sanctioned by the United States for drug trafficking and controlling gangs, but was persistently and generously supported by the United States for 10 years. And so this is really our problem.
So the United States, again, we have to own our own history. And we have a moral responsibility to help these people who are being victimized by decades and decades of policies that ultimately have all now turned into this bubbling, boiling cauldron, which is Haiti right now. So thank you all so much for your testimony. Congressman Moulton. Oh, thank you. Here, I'll get his.
Senator, thank you very much. That history is so important for us to not only remember, but as you said, to own. And Brian, thank you very much for, again, going through just the real devastating human consequences of TPS holders going to Haiti. But I think it's also important to remember that it's not just people who would be sent back to land in Port-au-Prince again, because TPS has been extended or redesignated 7 times now. 7 times. And so there are a lot of Haitian Americans living here with their families in the U.S., kids who are 15 years old, who, if their families are deported, would be going to Haiti for the first time. For the first time. Imagine being a 15-year-old student athlete in Everett, being forced with her family back to a capital city controlled by 90% controlled by gangs for the first time in her life. And I do think, in a sense, that this was imaginable back in 2016, because we saw that in 2013, TPS was extended, citing Hurricane Sandy and a lack of investment from the United States in fixing the problem. We saw that it was extended in 2011, citing a lack of investment after the earthquake. Amazing stories of volunteers, like I shared earlier, going from Boston and other cities around America to help, but not followed by a sustained investment by our government in rebuilding the country. And yes, it goes back to this long colonial history perpetuated over decades that added up into centuries. So, in a sense, this is imaginable. And the question is, what is the off-ramp? Well, there actually is an off-ramp, at least for TPS holders in America today, and it's called the American Dream and Promise Act. The American Dream and Promise Act, which Congresswoman Presley and I have co-sponsored in the House, and I'm sure Senator Markey has co-sponsored in the Senate, would provide this off-ramp for long-term TPS holders while preserving TPS as an emergency tool going forward. It's emerged from a long-standing bipartisan recognition that Congress created humanitarian protections without providing permanent solutions for the people they try to cover. It would create a pathway to lawful permanent residency. It would require continuous physical presence and long-term residence in the U.S., which so many Haitians have met. It would include background checks and admissibility requirements. It would move people who have lived here for many years out of temporary status and into permanent legal status. So I was wondering if a few of you could just comment on what that would mean for the community here. Because there's so much devastation in Haiti, so much fear among TPS holders, but we do hold a solution. It's ready to go if we could just vote on it in Congress. Doris, perhaps starting with you because of your leadership on the TPS committee in Massachusetts, what would that mean for the Haitian community here?
I think I give some examples like what are we seeing in the termination of TPS facings. Like this lady here in Massachusetts died because her TPS was terminating and she didn't have access to the healthcare. And I'm being seeing, believe me, sometimes even me, I need mental health support when I see, emails for the community, for Haitian community, what it will happening with us after February 3rd. Seeing people, even now, are in detention centers after the termination TPS. This is what it will face the Haitian community after February 3rd. The emergency as a TPS holders is already there. This is an example like how people will suffer. We're already seeing with the other countries how their kids are citizens and dealing with mental health issues because they can concentrate when they go to school, thinking their parents will kidnap by ICE. This is other things we had to thinking about the U.S. citizens for the Haitian community, how this will impact. Is being seen with determination for Honduras and for Venezuela, how their kids and some people even there, they already deported to their countries. I think we're already seeing those pictures, what it will happen for the Haitian community.
Thank you, Doris. And Denise, could you just comment on this briefly as well, please?
Sure. Thank you, Doris. So the way I see it is a lot of Haitians who come here, they come here to contribute, but they're also the livelihood for their families in Haiti. So they're constantly sending money back home. And if they're not able to work and take care of themselves and take care of their mental health, they cannot take care of their families back home. So Haiti's being affected not only by the gangs, but also by the fact that the Haitians that are living there cannot get the support that they're used to getting from these families here. So that's another major obstacle. I don't know. I think we've covered a lot of it, and the situation is dire. The situation is dire, Port-au-Prince is not a place where you can go back and live. It's not a place. I had to personally myself extract my god sister from a house where, in Delma 33, where she was left. Her father ran. The gangs were invading. Her father ran. They left her because she had psych issues, and she was fighting everyone. So they left her. They ran out. I had to send money to a friend who got 4 police officers to climb the roof of a couple of houses, jump into the backyard, and carry her out. Like a month later, she sends me a video of the house burnt down. Imagine if she was still in there. So that's what they're trying to send people back to. That's what they're trying to send Haitians back to. And it's evil. Thank you.
All right, thank you to all of our panelists. We're now going to transition to our third panel. Can we just thank our panelists, please? Our witnesses. All right, as our third panel joins the dais, we'll be hearing from business and union leaders across the Northeast who will speak to the workforce contributions of the Haitian community. We will be hearing from our witnesses in this order: Luis Zaldivar, Jen Siskin, Colin O'Leary, Kevin Brown, and Gertrude Joseph. Okay. All right, Luis.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman, Senator, Congresswoman Moulton, and everybody here who is advocating for the Haitian TPS holders. I am here representing the American Business Immigration Coalition. We are a network of over 2,000 employers for quite a few years now, have made a conscious decision that securing the border and securing the workforce are not against each other. That we can have an immigration system that ensures that the businesses that need employees can acquire employees. Currently, we are seeing a huge workforce shortage in all of the sectors that we work with. We work with construction, we work hospitality, we work healthcare, and in all of those sectors, the companies just tell us one thing, and is that they are hiring and they cannot find people to fulfill the roles. In our estimation and the employers that we work with, it is clear that law-abiding citizens that are contributing to the economy and are currently on with a work permit need to have those work permits made stable. For all of the employers that we work with, training is one of the biggest issues that they run into. And if we keep on having temporary visas that have to be renewed every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, then those businesses are constantly going to have to retrain people. And a lot of times it's just not possible. I also would like to highlight the vital link that TPS holders have for the healthcare industry. We have been working in a coalition of partners along with unions, the National Domestic Workers Alliance, Leading Age, Lisa Sherman, who was here, and other healthcare providers, as they tell us that TPS is by far the most overrepresented population, immigrant population in their workforce. So without them, they're going to have to be running into serious issues in order to take care of Americans. And that is the last point that I would like to make today. And I'm not going to take my 3 minutes because other people have. So I would like to say that this is not just an immigrant issue. Because this is how it's being framed in the news. This has been framed as an issue that it is about the Haitians or about the Hondurans or about the Salvadorians. We want to say that this is also about Americans. It's also about Americans who are going to see their prices go up, they're going to see inflation go up, and they're going to see their caretakers being deported. So the more that we can keep that message, you're going to have an ally in the business community, and we hope to be that ally for you all. Thank you.
And you still had 17 seconds left. Very impressive. No pressure, Jen. Okay, you're next.
Good morning, Congresswoman Presley, Senator Markey, Congressman Moulton, and members of the Massachusetts Congressional Delegation. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Jen Ziskin, and I am the Executive Director of Mass Restaurants United, a statewide nonprofit representing independently owned restaurants across the Commonwealth. I want to begin by asking you to close your eyes for a moment. It's a Friday night. You walk through the door of your favorite neighborhood restaurant, cheeks still cold from the walkover. The host looks up. They know you. They remember your name. They remember your kids came home early today because school was canceled for snow. They smile and say just one word, welcome. And suddenly you're warm, and for a few hours, you're home. Now open your eyes. Imagine that place dark. Not because the food wasn't good, not because the owner didn't try hard enough, but because the people who made that room work were suddenly gone. That is the reality we are facing today. For many of us, that fear isn't hypothetical. In March of 2020, we learned for the first time our restaurants could go dark. The gatherings could disappear. Birthdays, funerals, and milestones would move to screens. We cannot let that happen again, especially by intentionally dismantling the workforce that makes hospitality possible. Independent restaurants are already hanging by a thread. We're recovering from the pandemic while facing skyrocketing food costs, rent, insurance, and debt. Many of us are barely keeping the lights on. And now our employees are afraid to come to work. They're afraid if they get pulled over, if they're at the wrong place at the wrong time, they could be taken from the lives they've built and sent back to the very places they fled in fear. Haitian TPS holders are not abstract policy debates. There are cooks, dishwashers, servers, managers, and owners. They're experienced, reliable, legally authorized workers, and they've become our family. Many are parents to U.S. citizen children, many care for elders, many have worked in the same restaurants for years, some for decades, paying taxes and doing everything right under the promise TPS made to them. If TPS is terminated, the damage will be immediate. Restaurants will lose staff they cannot replace. Hours will be cut, prices will rise, and closures will follow. And because Haitians work throughout the food system, in farming, processing, distribution, and delivery, the consequences spread far beyond restaurants. This isn't just a labor issue, it's a supply chain issue that hits consumers, small businesses, and local economies all at once. When those workers disappear, the food chain doesn't bend, it snaps. This is a humanitarian issue, and it's also an economic one. You cannot remove a vital workforce and expect small businesses or communities to survive the shock. Massachusetts Restaurants United strongly urges Congress to protect and extend TPS for Haitians. This is the humane thing to do and the economically responsible one. Protect TPS, you protect families, businesses, and the neighborhoods we all rely on. Thank you for your leadership and for allowing me to speak on behalf of independent restaurants and the people who make them possible.
Thank you, Jen. Beautifully, effectively articulated there. Now we'll hear from Colin.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you, Congresswoman Presley, Senator Markey, and Congressman Moulton. My name is Colin O'Leary, and I'm the Executive Director at Laurel Ridge Rehab and Skilled Care Center, which is a not-for-profit nursing home right around the corner in Jamaica Plain. I can hear me. We are part of the Essential Care Alliance, which is a not-for-profit, mission-driven organization that has been around for over 150 years. As a skilled nursing center, we rely on a large labor force to care for our residents. Throughout COVID, many of these positions sat vacant after caretakers suddenly decided to leave the workforce. Over the past few years, we have been able to slowly regrow our workforce and are now in a more healthy but still precarious staffing position. With the loss of our TPS employees, Laurel Ridge is looking at losing 40% of its dietary aides, and more concerningly, 15% of the CNA workforce. CNAs are the backbone of our industry. They care for the most basic needs of our residents: personal care, grooming, toileting, feeding. These are not jobs that can easily be filled, and these jobs require a personal relationship between the staff and the residents that are forged over months and years together. These are relationships that, when lost, the residents suffer. A staffing shortage like this creates a domino effect that will impact residents' care for the foreseeable future. It is still unknown how many CNAs across the state are working under TPS, but what we do know is on February 4th, there will be a sudden drop of CNAs across the state. Unfortunately, when the limited pool of CNAs is further shrunk, healthcare facilities across the state are forced to compete with one another for the limited staff that is available. This causes healthcare facilities like mine to pay over market rate for CNAs, use overtime, pick up bonuses, and other ways to lure staff to work in their facility. Please don't get me wrong. I think that throughout the COVID epidemic, as an industry, we were able to give our staff well-deserved raises. This time, however, we will not have the Medicare, Medicaid, and bailout money to fund these raises. Now we are looking at cutting programming, reducing expenses, and limiting capital investment. A lot of that capital investment was already deferred during the pandemic. Inevitably, it seems like we're going to end up spending more money to provide less care to our residents. Long term, if we are not able to pivot and find replacement workers, this will lead to nursing home closings, hospitals being stuck with overflow, and people being sent home from the hospital without much needed rehab. The residents will not be able to get the care they need with the dignity they deserve. With our TPS caregivers, we have people who have become part of our community and want to give care to our family, residents, and neighbors. It is devastating that we will have to turn away these valuable caretakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Kevin?
Good morning. Thank you, Chair and Congresswoman Presley, for forming this today. It's really, really helpful and important in educating the public, and so important. And thank you, Senator Markey, Congressman Moulton as well. This is a very important field hearing, and to all of our allies in labor and business, we really appreciate this opportunity and the community. So my name is Kevin Brown. I'm Executive Vice President of 32BJ of the Service Employees International Union. We have over 20,000 members in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, the majority of whom happen to also be immigrants. About 2,000 of our members are employed in a wide range of jobs at Logan International Airport, handling baggage, cleaning airplane cabins, working in warehouses, serving passengers who need wheelchair assistance, and more. We don't monitor our members' immigration status, but we've seen the impact of the administration's hardline policies on our members with all kinds of statuses, including hundreds who have TPS in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. The contribution that TPS recipients make to this country are beyond dispute. as the Washington Post editorial board noted in January 6th column, the 350,000 Haitian immigrants that have been spoken about previously in TPS contribute almost $6 billion to the U.S. economy and pay $1.5 billion in taxes. And all that will be lost on February 4th when they'll be expected to return to a country that Marco Rubio officially declared too unsafe to visit. At 32 BJ, we have already seen the effects of this impending termination at Logan Airport, where we calculated that over 100 of our members from Haiti with TPS have already lost their jobs. In some cases, that may be due to companies acting to terminate these workers so as to manage the effects of a looming deadline. In most cases, though, we know that Customs and Border Protection has been canceling the customs seals of workers with qualified or provisional immigration statuses, including TPS holders and asylum applicants. Since these workers need those badges to work on international flights, the cancellations have often resulted in job losses. We thank one of these workers, one of our members, who agreed to have his testimony, Jerome, read earlier at today's hearing. For his and his family's safety, he preferred to use the pseudonym Jerome. Jerome lost his job in a Logan warehouse in midsummer, back when Haitian TPS termination was slated for August. We were then part, 32 BJ, to bring a lawsuit together with the Haitian Evangelical American Clergy Association and force the administration to move back its deadline to now the February 3rd, in 2 weeks. In our suit, we argued that the president's clear racial animus also motivated the termination of Haitian TPS. Unfortunately for Jerome and many others who lost their jobs at Logan, this 6-month reprieve has not been enough to convince the employers to hire them full-time. Jerome knows his struggles could soon become even harder. When we asked him what his plans were after February 3rd, he said, "I don't know." For Jerome's and his family's sake, and for the sake of the other 350,000 other Haitian immigrants and their families, for the sake of our workplaces and the communities and the economy, we join with our partners in labor and business to speak out against this unjust termination, in the hopes of finding some means of stopping it before we all drop into the dark unknown 2 weeks from today. Thank you.
Good morning, Congresswoman Presley, Senator Markey, and Congressman Moulton. As a Haitian, my name is Gertrude Joseph. As a Haitian American, former healthcare worker, and union organizer with 1199 SEIU, I am proud to be standing here to call out the attacks against my community. 1199 SEIU represent over 80,000 healthcare and home care workers in Massachusetts. Immigrants are a large portion of the healthcare workforce, caring for us in hospitals, health centers, nursing homes, and in home care. That includes Haitian with temporary protected status who have shown up for us in our darkest moment, and yet are now being forced into the shadows by the Trump administration because of where they were born. During a time where our healthcare system is already struggling, longer ER waits, short staffing, burned out, the exile of Haitian caregivers will impact us all. Here's what it's going to look like on February 4th. Critical operation at local hospital will be canceled due to the absence of dozens of staff that prep the operating room. Hundreds of elderly residents at area nursing home will wake to their favorite CNA missing. And people with disabilities will lose their PCA, self-deported, and fear of being detained. Patients will suffer of this administration anti-Black and xenophobic attacks. Our healthcare system will not recover from the loss of those who care for us. Yet, let me be clear, Haitians aren't just essential labor, we are part of the fabric of this country. We are caregivers, friends, neighbors, and we call Massachusetts home as well. As I look around this room, I feel the support and urge those that are not here today to stand with us. It will take all of us, elected officials, faith, labor, community partners, and neighbors to do whatever it is possible to support and extend TPS and protect immigrants. This is a fight for immigrants to preserve a Massachusetts where we all feel safe and call home, no matter your background or status.
Thank you. And now we'll each have one question. Have any of you heard from workers their fear? Has anyone not shown up for work? Is that something that have you heard from people speaking about? They're seeing ICE presence, or they're just fearful. Anyone not showing up for work because of that fear?
So it hasn't gotten to that part where people are not showing up for work, but people have been coming up to me. I want to say first, from the first extension, right? There were some people that their work permit had expired, and some of the hospital that I represent, BMC is one of them, they had taken people off schedule. But then once the government reopened again, and then people were able to, things started moving along, then their status changed, right? But then once, February 4th comes, people are afraid. They don't know what they're going to do. Some people are just going to ride it out and see what, hoping that the decision will change. But for the hospitals that I represent, everyone has been returning to work.
All right, thank you very much. Any final thoughts on economic impact if TPS is not extended? Anybody want to speak to economic impact?
I just want to reiterate that it will be immediate, and I think when there aren't necessarily people who aren't showing up for work yet, but I think it's that underlying fear that as restaurant owners and restaurant employees feel, even when asked to speak on the issue, that's when I hear the fear is out there. And I think it's so important for us to speak up. And I think as soon as it does happen, this impact will be immediate. I think you'll see it in hospitality, but as you heard today, I think the healthcare industry, especially in Massachusetts, where we so rely on that and our elder care, it'll dismantle the system.
We've already had 100 members terminated because at Terminal E at Logan, which is the international wing, you have to have a CPB license to be able to work there. And so even if you had legal status to be able to work under patient TPS, you couldn't get your CPB, and so they were about 100 members have already been fired over the last summer. So yes, there have been people already terminated, and there's incredible amount of fear out there, and the impact economically will be devastating for not just Haitian, but all of the TPS holders in this country. Billions and billions of dollars lost because our members spent. They can't keep the money in their pockets. So they turn that money around immediately, and it fuels our economy. And that's something that President Trump just doesn't have a clue.
Thank you. Yeah, well, just to add that I had to look it up to remind me, but in long-term home care, it is 1 every 4. It's 1 every 4 caretakers, that will be affected by these kind of policies. So we're talking about 25%. And the most people that take those services are in Republican districts. They are out in Wisconsin, out in Minnesota, out in Florida. And those are the places that are going to be affected the most. And hopefully that helps our legislative work in future.
Senator Markey.
Thank you. And again, thank you so much. This testimony is just so riveting, so important, so central to our economy, but the impact that it has on the lives of those families. And the numbers you use, Kevin, $6 billion will be lost to the economy, the taxes they pay, but also the money that can go home to Haiti and help those families out. All part of this story. And as these people then become wanted by ICE on the streets of America, it's going to have a cascading effect down into the families that is going to be unbelievably tragic. In Framingham, I went out and visited Framingham about 6 weeks ago. January 20th last year, Donald Trump was sworn in. There are now 600 fewer children in the Framingham school system than 1 year ago. Those kids are not going to school. And we know what's going to happen when TPS status is lost for these kids. It's going to be tragic. And it's going to come back to haunt our country for years and years and years to come. So there's downstream impacts that are incredible, and innocent children who are going to be victimized. So we thank you for what you're doing, and just pointing out that it's the hospitality industry, it's the restaurant industry, it's Logan Airport, it's the construction industries, where these are skilled laborers who are doing the work right now to keep our economy afloat. That's what this is really all about. And they want to send them back to a country that they're saying Americans can't go. So maybe you could just a little bit just expand on what this is going to mean as Medicaid gets cut by $1 trillion, as Medicare gets cut by $500 billion, as the Affordable Care Act is cut by $300 billion. What's the cascading effect down into our healthcare system if TPS status is removed as well, and these workers who are central are removed from the system?
Thank you, Senator. I think what you're really going to see in healthcare is you're going to see nursing homes.
You just move the microphone up a little. Yeah.
What you're going to see in healthcare is nursing homes are inevitably going to close if you don't have the workers to staff them. Our Medicaid funding is fixed. I mean, it's dictated by the government, and we don't have other sources for funding. Medicare, Medicaid are our primary sources, and there's not more money going into those programs. So if more money goes out to labor, we're just going to become unsustainable. And you're going to see care drop. You're going to see fewer caretakers per resident, fewer nurses per resident, and the residents won't get the care they deserve. And I think that's the hardest part of this is these are people who, when nobody was allowed in nursing homes, were with the residents holding their hands, and now we're telling them to go away, and that's really hard.
Thank you. And Jen and Gertrude, maybe you could, okay, I'm sorry. Luis.
Yes, I would just like to add that I was speaking with a healthcare provider, a nursing home provider from here in Massachusetts, and he was telling me that his prices have already gone up 25% since last year because of the current policies. If TPS holders are also out of the workforce, he's going to have to raise prices by 40%. So that means that a hell of a lot of people are not going to be able to afford, having a caregiver, period. And the fact is that there's just not enough people to do this. So I think that is one thing that people really have to understand. This is going to affect everybody's pockets.
I have something to say. One of the effects, just dealing with the Kearney closure last year, I was also the organizer there. So as I think about, like the hospitals, the nursing home, not having the proper staffing
which, would have been TPS workers, is going to have a huge impact. And I'm hoping that it does not lead to what Connie went through, not having those TPS workers there. It's going to be a bigger impact. So this is not just about Haiti, those recipients going back home, but it's gonna, I think, the previous speaker, one of the reverend said it. It's like here, the United States is really gonna be impacted. Massachusetts is gonna be impacted because those individuals are the one that would do the work that, no offense to anyone, that people here wouldn't do. Like we don't care as Haitians. We would do whatever it takes as long as it's a clean, the money is clean. We will wash the toilets. We will be the CNA, be the PCA. So it's going to be a bigger impact here.
Yeah, and thank you for that. It's not just the 600 kids in Framingham. It's all 351 cities and towns have the same story. It's actually bigger in Boston, bigger in Worcester, bigger in Springfield, bigger across this country. The number of kids not showing up. And then on the other end, it's grandma and grandpa in the nursing homes who aren't going to get the care they need. So it's going to have an incredibly tragic trickle-down effect on every person in the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Congressman Moulton.
Thank you so much. I mean, I just want to drive even further into the impacts that this will have on the lives of everyone else, because maybe that will make people wake up to how urgent this crisis is. So, Jen, you painted this amazing picture of what it would be like to show up to a family restaurant that you know well, and all of a sudden the staff is not there to greet you, maybe even to run the restaurant, and it shuts down. I mean, we saw this happen during COVID. We saw what happens when you don't have enough restaurant workers, restaurants shut down. We've seen that on the Cape this summer when you couldn't just get enough immigrants. Kevin, all three of us are going to go to Washington on an airplane. I hope someday that'll be on a high-speed train, but for right now, it's on an airplane. We don't often think about all the people who work behind the scenes to keep that plane on time, including the people who rush on before we even are finished getting off to start cleaning the plane. Now, I've never been to Logan and have them said, you know what, the problem today is we've just got too many planes on time. All right, that's not a problem we're familiar with, right? So, Kevin, speak a little bit to just the impact this will have on the traveling public.
Thank you for the question, Congressman. We're not going to have enough workers in all of the airports across the country to be able to keep the planes running on time, to make sure that there's the quick turnover that people required in terms of cleaning and servicing the planes. A lot of stuff happens, planes during the course of a flight, as you can imagine. I don't want to get into, but it's not pleasant. And our members clean those planes, and quick turnarounds are required, and big crews fast. And the employers are not going to be able to meet that demand because they rely so much on Haitian TPS holders and other TPS holders, a lot of El Salvadoran and others across the country. And it is not going to be good for the airline industry. The industry has maybe at least 50% contracted out across the country. And many of those contractors are going to have serious issues over the coming months.
And Gertrude, likewise, we visit a lot of nursing homes. I've never been to a nursing home that says that we need more residents. There's always a waiting list. I've never been to a nursing home that says we've got too many people who want to work here. They're always struggling to find staff. So what will be the impacts on American families who see their parents in these facilities and are depending on this care every single day?
I mean, one of the things that these organizations, hospitals, nursing home normally does is go to agencies, but it would mean for someone loved one not being able to have the proper care, right? Because if you're short-staffed, you're running from one patient to another, you're not really dedicating that amount of time to each patient what they really need. So this is going to be big.
Thank you.
Well, I want to say thank you to all of our panelists, all three of our panels. Extraordinary. Thank you for lending your stories and your voices. Speaking of stories, just as we come to a close here, I was with Marie St. Fleur and also Ruth C. and many others that were in this room at a Haitian Chamber of Commerce event recently, and I shared the story of a constituent who I'd run into in the neighborhood, and they said, you know, my mother, my 92-year-old mother, has been being cared for by Miss Marie for many, many years. She is the only person that we trust to care for my mother in these intimate ways and to maintain her dignity. And she doesn't, no one else can tend to her the way that Miss Marie does. And we are just so afraid that Miss Marie is going to be deported. And they admitted that they had voted for Donald Trump, and they said, I thought he was going after the worst of the worst. But Miss Marie is the best of the best. And so I just offer that story because there are so many Miss Maries. And this stands to be devastating for families, for community, for our economy. And I think it might have been Kevin who spoke about a dark unknown that could fall on all of us on February 4th if we do not stop this. So I thank you all for giving a damn about your neighbor, our communities, our commonwealth, and our country for being here today. Haitians certainly deserve better, and that is why Senator Markey, Congressman Moulton, and I are determined to not only carry your stories with us in our heart, but to ensure that your expertise is submitted to the public record so that your voices, your stories, your expertise is not forgotten, and that it is foundational to policies that center the humanity and that actualize justice for our Haitian siblings. So again, I thank you all, and we'll have a final word from Senator Markey, and then we are going to transition to the press conference. We will do our best to move swiftly here, if you would like to stand with us in solidarity, and then we all have planes to catch. Okay, so Senator Markey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today, because we're in community, we're in resistance, we're in solidarity today. That's what this is all about. We are with you, and we thank the business leaders, we thank the union leaders, but especially we thank the courageous Haitian TPS holders having the courage to testify today. They are showing courage. They are showing courage just by showing up, because they are speaking for a vast number of people all across our state and all across our country right now. And so we're going to organize. We're not going to agonize. We're going to stand up. We're going to continue to fight. We're going to tell your stories. We're going to make sure that this cruelty, which is what Trump is all about, it's all about the cruelty, is put in the spotlight. And we're going to find colleagues, Democrat and Republican, to side with you in order to prevent this absolute tragedy that is about to unfold for all of those who are here right now contributing to our economy. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Congresswoman, for inviting us here to the center of your district.